Welcome back! A big welcome if you are new to this channel. You are watching French Action. If you are preparing for a French exam, this video is for you. My name is Jenny and I am inviting you to correct a letter. You will learn what mistakes to avoid when writing a letter in French. Prends un cahier et un stylo pour prendre des notes. So you will need to have something to write on, okay, so that you can make some notes. Okay. So the way we're going to do this is that there will be three parts. The first one is that I'm going to show you a letter which is filled with mistakes. So I'm going to take one sentence at a time and you will need to spot the mistakes. The second part is that I'm going to correct the mistakes, and the final part is that I'm going to show you how you can improve your letter. So I'm hoping that all this will help you with your exam preparations because I'm sure you have a letter to write. Tu es prêt? You ready? Tu es prêt? C'est parti! So this is the letter I talked to you about, okay? I'm not going to spend time to show you this letter because, as I said to you before, it's full of mistakes. But this is a letter about 91 words, and we're going to go together. We're going to try to see how we can improve this letter. So on the left, you have what the letter in itself, you know, the letter with the mistakes, and on the right, that's the part I would like you to remember. So please read, lis. Can you spot the mistakes? So here you can see that I have corrected. I've made some corrections and I crossed out A and I crossed out son. Do you remember why? Or do you know why? Okay, the answer is that when you want to say, I hope that you are well, I know that in English, are is in French est. However, when you talk about how are you, you never use to be. And you know that because we say comment ça va. And va, we have to remember that va comes from aller. Comment ça va? And you respond ça va bien, but you can also respond by saying je vais bien. So here we're going to do the same. We're going to use aller. Tu vas bien. Tes parents vont bien. J'espère que tu vas bien, ainsi que tes parents. So here, it's not so much really a mistake, but I don't like the repetition of bien. If you can remove a repetition, that's much better in terms of style. So how can we improve this letter? Is just by saying j'espère que tu vas bien, ainsi que tes parents, as well as. Now, if you didn't know ainsi que, well, then learn it because it can help you a lot. Another sentence. Can you spot the mistakes? Okay, so here you can see that I cross out passé, ton, and bon. What I'm showing you here is that jour is not the right word. When you are talking about jour, or when you want to use jour, It could be because you're counting a number of days. For example, you could say there are 30 or 31 days in a month. You will definitely use jour. You have jour in some words like bonjour. But when you are really focusing on the span of a day, as it is the case in the letter, you have to use journée. And also, in talking of the span of a letter, you can see that the word is a little bit longer as well. So you add né to it. And by adding né to jour, it becomes feminine. So that is very important because it's going to affect the ton. You see, we had ton before, now we're going to move to ta. So that is one correction. The second correction, which is not an easy one for many students, is the word bon. Okay, we have to remember that c'était bon means it was good. Okay, was it good? Because it's a question here. We have to remember that good is an adjective. Okay, and bien is an adverb, which is the one I'm going to be using here. Now, why can't I have the adjective here? It's because really we are talking about a whole idea of how was the day, okay? So we're saying the whole thing was good. So, c'était bien. As opposed to, have you tasted my pizza? C'est bon. Okay, we are talking about the pizza. So we are describing the pizza. So we are going to use the adjective. But in this case, we are talking about the whole thing. How did it go? How did your day in Miami go? So it's very different. So please remember that. Bon, adjective, bien, adverb. Now, very quickly, for those who can't remember the difference between adjective and adverb, now I'm going to start with adverb. Adverb, a word adding to the verb. So really what we are adding to the verb is additional information, okay? So if you want to say I study or I speak French well, okay, then the additional information is not about French, but about the way you speak. So you are adding that information, and bien is an adverb. Okay, as opposed to the pizza, which I was describing earlier. So adjective, you describe the noun. So this is my improvement. Is comment s'est passée ta journée à Miami? C'était bien? Now, I remind you that not only do I have to put ne and ta, but also I have to remember that passé will have two e's because journée is feminine. So you have to remember that the gender in French is very, very important. If you make one mistake with the gender, it affects the whole sentence. Okay? And here I put c'était bien. Donc je répète, comment s'est passée ta journée à Miami? C'était bien? Can you spot the mistakes? So my correction here is related to animé and intéressante. As you can see, it's crossed here. Why? Because of the c'était. Okay, it is true that we are referring to the soirée, okay, which is feminine. So obviously, when we see animé and intéressante, it makes sense because soirée is feminine. However, we must remember that c'est is always, or c'est or c'était is always followed by masculine. Always, 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 regardless of what you are talking about. And this is a common mistake I hear, because obviously you want to make the agreement, but it doesn't work with c'est. So how did I improve this sentence? Te souviens-tu de ma soirée? Eh bien, c'était animé et intéressant. Can you spot the mistake? Okay, so here what I'm putting here is that the L apostrophe, I don't like the L apostrophe because, you know, with that aimer can also mean love. And if you say je l'ai aimé, it could mean I loved him or I loved her. So in order to save that little confusion, even though cette soirée is there, it's better not to put it. So this is how I improved the sentence. Instead of starting with cette soirée, je l'ai aimé, I put j'ai bien aimé cette soirée. And I did add bien, which gives that little, I really like this party. Okay, that's what the bien is there. And also we have to remember that aimer can be love, aimer, bien. So when you put the bien, it becomes to like. Okay, so be careful. If somebody says je t'aime bien, is different from je t'aime. Okay, so je t'aime bien, I like you. Je t'aime, I love you. So be careful. Can you spot the mistakes? Okay, so here the correction was with the de and the il. Okay, you need to remember that beaucoup is always followed by de, even though after beaucoup you will have the plural, as you can see with the word person with an S. But it's beaucoup de, which is a lot of, just like in English. Of is also de. So that is one correction. The second correction is with person. I often hear il, but you have to remember that person is a word which is feminine. So you will have to use the feminine pronoun here, which is elle, regardless of who the people were. Even if they were all men, you have to put elle. So, I'm just going to show you two possibilities. Il y avait beaucoup de personnes, elles ont dansé. So that is really to stick to the original text. But I would probably have put something like il y avait beaucoup de personnes qui ont dansé. Bon, it is true that you could have just said beaucoup de personnes ont dansé. But I am just trying to stick to the original text. Can you spot the mistakes? Okay, so as you can see from the text, there's two corrections. So the first one is je pense que. All right, so je pense que, very important. Because in English we can say I think everybody liked the music, but in French you have to say I think that. So the que is very, very important in French, not so much in English. So je pense que is something you have to learn like that. Je pense que. And the second one is related to tout le monde. Tout le monde, you have to remember that tout le monde means everybody. I know it's many people, but it's also like in English where you say everyone. And in English, everyone is followed by the singular. It's the same in French. So how have I improved this sentence? I just put je pense que tout le monde a aimé la musique et les divertissements. Can you spot the mistakes? Okay, so here there's only one mistake. I did say, did you spot, can you spot the mistakes? But in fact, there's only one. And this one is, as you can see, nourriture. Why have I crossed nourriture? We have to remember that beaucoup de has the word in plural. However, it doesn't work with nourriture because nourriture is normally singular, food. It's like in English, we say food, we don't say foods, okay? So that is one. And the second thing is the spelling of nourriture. So I can advise you to try to remember nourrir, which is to feed, okay? And there's 3 R's. In the text, there's 2, which is wrong. 3 R's. To remember that there's 3 R's, think of the 3 meals we have. 1 hour for breakfast, 1 hour for lunch, and 1 hour for dinner. So this is how I improved that sentence. I put les invités ont beaucoup mangé or les invités ont bien mangé. You know what? I didn't even put the word nourriture. Why? Because what else can you eat? You have to eat food. So for the French, it's not very important to say that you've eaten a lot of food. Now, if you were to say I've eaten a lot of ice cream, that's different. But food, it really doesn't make sense to put it there. So if you say les invités ont beaucoup mangé, then it means they've eaten a lot of food. So you don't need to put food. Can you spot the mistake? Okay, so my correction is visiter. I'm sure that you use that verb a lot. You don't visit somebody, okay? You need to think about visiter as a way of discovering a place. Je suis allée à Paris, for example. I went to Paris and I visited le Louvre, okay? Meaning you spend your time discovering le Louvre. And have you noticed that I didn't use the verb visiter to mean to go to Paris, because I went to Paris, but I really spent discovering le Louvre, not the whole of Paris. Okay? So that's what I mean. So visiter is for discovering. So what do we use for people? Well, rendre visite. And rendre is an irregular verb, so it's got a past participle like attendre, okay, with a U. So here you would say j'ai rendu visite à mes grands-parents. J'ai rendu visite à mes grands-parents. It's followed by a as well, so be careful. However, my sentence is very different. I didn't even put visiter. You know why? Because I don't feel that visit is the right, rendre visite, I meant, is the right verb for this sentence. Because Steve is saying that he went to his grandparents to rest. He didn't really go to visit them. He went there because obviously they must live in a place which is very quiet. So he decided, after that big party, he was very tired. So he went to his grandparents to rest. So here, I would say je suis allé as opposed to j'ai rendu visite à mes grands-parents. And also when you say je suis allé, you have to say chez, okay, because you're going to somebody's place. So je suis allé chez mes grands-parents and not à. And here, have you noticed I put in red le lendemain? Because of what was coming before, I felt that there needed a little connection, a little link, and I put le lendemain because we're talking about the party and then he went to his grandparents. I didn't really see the link, so I put le lendemain, or if it wasn't le lendemain, later on or something. You need to put something so that it flows much better. Can you spot the mistakes? Okay, here there are 3 mistakes. Okay, the first one, I'm sure that you can see what it is. When you have 2 verbs following each other, you have to remember that the second one has to take the infinitive form. And the infinitive form of envoyer is envoyer with ER. Okay, so that is one. So, tu pourras m'envoyer, that's what is. The second correction is about notre, okay, our holiday. Now, you can see that vacances is plural. So if it's plural, we cannot have notre because notre is singular. So we are going to have nos vacances, our holiday. And then the last one has got to do with s'il vous plaît. If you talk about your friend and you're using tu, you cannot have s'il vous plaît. You have to have s'il te plaît. So this is very important. Remember, if you have tu, you have to have ton and te and s'il te plaît, but you cannot have any vous. So it gives you, pourrais-tu m'envoyer les photos de nos vacances, s'il te plaît? Have you noticed that I changed the structure a little bit? Instead of saying tu pourras, I put pourrais-tu, which is really the proper way of asking a question. So I've changed the order of the words, but also I have changed the tense. I use the conditional because you're asking for something. You want somebody to do something for you. It's more polite to use the conditional. Okay, could you please send me the photos of our holiday? Now we've come to our last sentence. Can you spot the mistakes? Okay, so here is only one mistake, is en. Okay, en avance means early. So I thank you early. That's not what it is. The expression is je te remercie d'avance. Please learn it by heart. Je te remercie d'avance. Remember, en avance means early. It's not the same thing. So here I haven't improved anything. Okay, I just put je te remercie d'avance and I keep à bientôt, Steve. So this is the final letter. I'm just going to read it. Écoutez, s'il vous plaît. Cher Marc, j'espère que tu vas bien ainsi que tes parents. Comment s'est passée ta journée à Miami? C'était bien? Te souviens-tu de ma soirée? Eh bien, c'était animé et intéressant. J'ai bien aimé. Il y avait beaucoup de personnes. Elles ont dansé. Je pense que tout le monde a aimé la musique et les divertissements. Les invités ont bien mangé. Le lendemain, je suis allée chez mes grands-parents pour me reposer au calme. Pourrais-tu m'envoyer les photos de nos vacances, s'il te plaît? Je te remercie d'avance. À bientôt, Steve. We have come to the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it and please like it if you have. Also, leave a message in the comment below to tell me if this video has been useful to you. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like these. Au revoir!